Every single year, governments pour billions of dollars into higher education. But are we spending that money in the smartest way possible? It really comes down to a huge question. Should public money be used to prop up institutions, or should it be used to invest directly in students? Let's get into it. So, the big debate always seems to come back to this idea: let's just subsidize tuition for everyone, especially at private universities, to make college cheaper. I mean, on the surface, it sounds great, right? Simple, fair. But, as we're about to see, the evidence tells a very different story. There might be a much smarter way to fund our future. And this brings us right to what you could call the subsidy paradox. It's this fascinating thing where policies that start with the absolute best intentions, like helping families pay for college, can sometimes completely backfire and create a whole new set of problems we didn't even see coming. At the heart of this paradox is a major economic problem that these broad subsidies can actually make worse. It's called credential inflation. Think about it. When we artificially create and fund a ton of university spots, we flood the job market with degrees. All of a sudden, a bachelor's degree isn't special anymore. It's just the new baseline. And that forces everyone into this crazy educational arms race, spending more time and more money just to stay competitive. And you can see how this spirals out of control. Credential inflation isn't just about economics, it hits society hard. Young people are spending more and more years in school, which means they're starting their careers later. And that pushes back all the big life milestones like getting married, starting a family, which in turn contributes to lower birth rates. And here's the real kicker. This whole cycle eventually leads to fewer students. The very universities these subsidies were supposed to save are now facing an existential threat. It's a truly vicious cycle. All right, so we've seen that big picture cycle. Now, let's really drill down into exactly why these one-size-fits-all subsidies just don't work the way we hope they would. You don't have to take my word for it. This quote from a recent FIDEA policy paper absolutely nails it. When you offer the same subsidy to everyone, you can actually make the system less fair. They use the word regressiveness, which is really just a fancy way of saying that the policy ends up helping wealthier families who could probably afford tuition anyway, while not doing nearly enough for the students who need it the most. So really, it boils down to three big problems. First, these subsidies are like a life support system for a broken market, preventing it from fixing itself. Second, every dollar we spend propping up this system is a dollar we're not spending on more practical, high-impact training. And third, like we just saw, they can be deeply unfair, with taxpayer money accidentally flowing to higher-income families. Okay, so if throwing money at the problem with broad subsidies isn't the answer, then what is? Well, the evidence points to a much sharper, more effective tool: smart, targeted scholarships that focus on the students, not just the schools. And the reason this works is actually pretty simple, but it's incredibly powerful. For a student coming from a low-income background, the biggest barrier often isn't just the price tag, it's the uncertainty, the constant fear of hidden fees, or that your aid package might change. It's paralyzing. So giving them financial certainty, that changes the entire game. And we have the data to prove it. A groundbreaking JPAL study found that when they sent high-achieving, low-income students a letter with a simple, unconditional promise of a 4-year scholarship, no strings attached, applications went through the roof. We're talking an 80% increase. That wasn't a maybe, it was a guarantee. And that guarantee made all the difference. And get this, that promise led to a 53% jump in actual enrollment at a top university. These students didn't just apply, they showed up. They enrolled. That is a life-changing result right there. I mean, just look at the side-by-side comparison here. It's night and day. The study also had a group that got the standard outreach, info about potential aid. Well, that got a small bump in applications, but zero effect on enrollment. Zero. It proves that how you offer the aid is just as critical as the aid itself. Certainty is everything. But the story doesn't end there. It's not just about getting these students in the door. The data shows that once they're on campus, scholarship students often perform even better than their peers. Take this study from a university in Spain, for example. It found that students on scholarship had a higher academic success rate, passing over 95% of the credits they took. That's a solid 3 points higher than other students. They're not just surviving, they're thriving. And this, right here, might be the most important point of all. Scholarships are more than just financial aid. They're engines of social mobility. When a talented, hardworking student from a low-income background earns a scholarship, it's this incredible validation. It's a powerful motivator. This is how you can actually begin to reverse the achievement gap. By rewarding that talent and effort, you give these students a real chance to outperform the averages and rewrite their futures. So, smart scholarships are one huge piece of the puzzle. The other is about getting serious about a high-return alternative, reinvesting in practical skills through what's known as technical and vocational education and training, or TVET for short. Now, not all vocational programs are created equal. A massive meta-analysis from ETH Zurich looked at tons of studies and found there's a clear winner. The programs that work best are the ones that combine learning in a classroom with real hands-on training in a workplace. It's that blend of theory and practice that makes all the difference. So why is this so important? Well, think about it. Good vocational training gives you a direct, fast track to a solid career. You start earning a good salary much sooner. You're filling the exact skill gaps that employers are desperate for. And maybe most importantly, it gives young people a fantastic option so they don't feel like they have to get a university degree just to get ahead. Okay, so let's pull all of this together. What does a better system actually look like? The evidence we've seen suggests we need a fundamental shift in how we think about funding education. This chart lays out the blueprint perfectly. We need to move away from these broad, untargeted subsidies that just prop up institutions and move to targeted, need-based scholarships that empower students. We shift our focus from fueling an oversupply of degrees to strengthening high-return vocational paths. The goal is no longer just to maintain the status quo. The goal is to give people the actual skills they need to succeed in the real world. At the end of the day, it all comes down to this one simple question. Are we going to keep pouring money into funding systems even when we know they're creating these negative cycles? Or are we finally going to make the smarter choice and invest directly in our people, giving them the targeted support and the practical skills they need to truly build their own futures? Based on everything we've seen, the answer seems pretty clear.